Good, everybody. I'm Jerry. About to check out the Undertaker heel versus face. This video is about wrestling premiere. I guess this video breaks down how well the Undertaker was as a babyface and as a heel. Because when he turned heel, I say around late or mid 2001, and all the way up until like August of '02, or whenever he turned back babyface in 2002, was like some of the most incredible heel work ever. The man had Tommy Dreamer drinking his tobacco spit out of a cup. That's how crazy heel Undertaker was. The man won the hardcore championship and completely put fear into the whole hardcore championship roster because they had the 24/7 rule. And once Undertaker won it, nobody even thought about trying to steal that championship from him anywhere in the arena or whatever doing the 24/7 rule. They didn't even bring that rule back until after Maven won it back. After Maven won it, and they brought the 24/7 rule back. But him as a babyface is what I really didn't see too much of the Big Evil era because I was so young. Then when I started watching wrestling in 2004, WWE in 2004, he was a babyface by that time, and he was a babyface throughout the whole tenure of his career, all the way up until he retired. So we about to check into this video, man. Let's hop into it. Undertaker heel versus face. Let's go.
The Undertaker has been a strong staple of WWE and professional wrestling for over 30 years.
Absolutely.
The myth and legend of The Undertaker greatly overrides 99.9% of names in the industry, with the only names beyond him being a handful. And I mean that in a literal sense. To be in this position automatically makes you an all-timer, and the fact is, The Undertaker was the one constant in the WWE, no matter what era or time period he was around. It's almost crazy that he retired in 2020 because the odds are Undertaker should have retired 15 years earlier.
That's crazy.
On the first day he stepped in as The Undertaker, he captured everybody's attention with this larger-than-life persona that's beyond life and death. The immortal Undertaker. The greatest character in wrestling history to many and myself. An invention that grew a life of its own beyond the WWE. Throughout his career, The Undertaker has amassed plenty of memorable stories and matches, and in turn left an incredible legacy topped by a few in the history of wrestling. He's often found himself as the man to cheer for, but every once in a while he'd revert back to a villain and tyrant of the WWE. Those videos just to compare both heel and face Undertaker, very simple stuff here. When The Undertaker debuted in 1990, there was nothing like him. He'd come out to funeral music, kids would be shocked and in horror over what they're seeing, and there was this ironically dead silence when he'd show up. But it wasn't because they were bored, but because they were very enamored by him. The Undertaker was an undead wizard who liked to take souls. He wasn't fully that initially, as he was a mortician who liked to take souls to the grave, but he wasn't super over the top. I'm dead and respawning stuff. That wasn't there. It was more vague, but that also helped it a lot. He was strong, resilient, and almost never fell to the mat. Paul Bearer in the Urn was a strong source of The Undertaker's power, but that was explored more in the later years. His villainous arcs don't last all too long, and the next time The Undertaker would turn heel was deep in the Attitude Era. His character took a drastic turn
Like
towards a
97,
satanic cult
96,
called the
97.
Ministry of Darkness. This version of Undertaker valued power and a hunger for dominance, much different to any other character iteration of his for certain. He was darker, grew a goatee, and refused to be under the sun. That pale look coupled with the beard and attire choice makes for one of his very best looks. A look that's often featured in the video games due to how distinctive and how menacing he looked. Ministry Undertaker is often one I come back to, not because of the matches, definitely not at that, but because of how much he was invested in this character of his. He was going over the top with his presentation and intentions.
So when did he start doing a
regardless
biker
of what you
gimmick?
think about him,
Like, he
it's the
started-
darkest version of The
he
Undertaker.
abandoned
When
that
The
whole
Undertaker would
ministry
once again
gimmick.
revert to a face, it was the heel turn in 2001 that set him back on the path.
Yeah.
He was now the American badass and felt that he deserved respect for holding the company down. This version of him was much better than the original
I like that
Undertaker
version of him.
because he was natural. He was still intimidating, but you got to see some of his best promos
He
in his
cut
entire
promos,
career.
he
The Undertaker
was-
was insistent on everyone respecting him, and similar to the Ministry, he was fixated on one
Stone
single
Cold, The
thing.
Rock,
With the Ministry,
respect.
it was power. Here as Big Evil, it was respect. And winning the Undisputed Championship in his eyes would force everyone to respect him. He already had the experience, which to him meant that everyone should line up and shake his hand, but now he was going to walk up to you and tell you that he's the
He
top
gonna
dog.
beat it in
With
you.
The Undertaker as a face, he's a bit different. He knows what the right thing to do is, but he's not morally in line
He's
with
not
the other
gonna
baby
talk.
faces. One thing about him, though, is that he does have a moral compass, and he's often consistent in that regard. His first face run was a continuation of his Western mortician character. He was taking bad souls now as opposed to good souls in the past. It was more of the same thing until the 1994 Royal Rumble. This is when the Undertaker that everyone knows showed up, because there's a noticeable difference from the Western mortician to the dead man. For one, Undertaker came back wearing purple and was leaning in more on that undead stuff. as the face Undertaker would have a 3-part arc usually. His opponent tries to take him out, and if it works, he disappears, and upon his return, exacts revenge in such a way that the villain will often regret even making contact with the Undertaker. This is what happened to Yokozuna, Mankind, and Shawn Michaels. Undertaker also took interest in building a fan base, calling them the Creatures of the Night. In line with the traditional period of the Attitude Era, Undertaker would become more grounded and human, but as the Attitude Era continued to set in, he took up a drastic change to his character, the American Badass. This version of him was less dead man and more human. It was an important change to him, but we wouldn't see the best version of this Undertaker until 2002. The heel turn helped set him back on track, physically and of course in ring. And while Big Evil is gonna beat the respect out of you, Undertaker toned that down and was more like a fictionalized version of his locker room leader position in real life. Then came the Dead Man of 2004. It was very similar to his mid-90s iteration, but soon would become a bit more grounded, while also capturing the novelty of the Undertaker character. So as you can see here, there's a lot of overlap with Undertaker's characters, barring the biker version of him in the Ministry. There's not much of a difference between them. Those two are the distinctive ones that stand out. Now personally, I have to concede that the face version of him is better. Only because he's lasted way longer in that role. Heel Undertaker is great though. He's a perfect
he was a babyface a lot longer than he was a heel.
Executes them.
He was actually the Dead Man a lot longer than
There's also the fact that he was menacing as Ministry Undertaker. The Ministry version of him was terrifying and often left a very unsettling feeling, while also perfectly presenting this idea that we don't know much about the Undertaker, because he was super evil, but it felt like he was veiled, and what we saw of him was only a glimpse of the unseen. And his power level was insane. Big Evil, on the other hand, was just entertaining as a heel. You guys remember that promo? Say what if you want to sleep with your sister? And it was a refreshing change compared to the American Badass. But the face version just wins. That's synonymous with the Undertaker, the one that makes heels pay for their sins. We've seen Yokozuna, Shawn Michaels, Kane, Randy Orton, Edge, CM Punk, all these men paid the price for dealing with them, and
Teddy Long would put heels up against
continuing the video? Well,
as
there's
a
more
punishment.
reasons to give for heel Undertaker, as you're about to see. Promos. Now when it comes to promos, the Undertaker isn't some world beater, but he fits in line with his character. Anytime he speaks, it's not oh, this doesn't fit his character, but at the same time, the Undertaker didn't need to speak a lot to get his point across. All he had to do was raise his arm and people would give a damn. That's why I think the heel version of him easily takes this one. I can't name many of my favorite Undertaker promos. If anything, when I hear Undertaker in promo, I immediately think of the time he told the Big Show desert story, which is horrible. Plus, his promos in 2009 were just him using big words and yapping for no reason. On the other side, The Undertaker did exhibit some good promos in his career, even as the Dead Man. The best one as the Dead Man was probably his return in 1998 when he was throwing crazy fireballs and telling Kane he's his maker. With Face Undertaker, his best promos are when he was the biker. He often threw some insane line that was funny while also representing how badass he was. One quote that stood out to me was this: "I don't like saying these, it sounds a bit corny. Let's just quote it quick. On March 28th, I will open up the gates of hell and I will unleash a fury that no mortal man has ever seen to make sure at WrestleMania your career is over." I love that line. Why? Because he delivers it with so much venom and hatred and passion. He wanted to ensure that Shawn Michaels was retiring. But easily heel Undertaker for this one. Ministry Undertaker was great in promos, at least early Ministry Undertaker, pre-corporate Ministry. But what gives heel Undertaker the edge is Big Evil. This is the reason why I chose heel Undertaker for promos. This is the most consistent the Undertaker was in the promo department. He was often concise but hit hard. These promos are more impactful than any in his career. He wasn't even saying some insane stuff or using some shots or digs. It's just how he comes out all pissed off. He lays out all that anger and frustration properly when he's on the microphone. And I just love Big Evil's promos in general, whether it's face or heel, because you know he hits harder than he talks. And it feels like he's a man of his word. So heel Undertaker wins him only because of Big Evil. Without that, I have to concede to Face Undertaker. Look. Now when it comes to looks, The Undertaker is some of the best around. He evolved over time and properly meshed whatever his character was to his look. His initial look was interesting with the great coloring and tied to the shirt. He looks committed to the job. That evolved into the Dead Man with the purple. While Mabel did break his orbital bone and that looked painful, the mask along with the attire looked amazing and was one of his best looks. There's the Batman look and the pre-Ministry attire he wore for about a year, but the Ministry look to me is the standout look from the 90s. It was a radical change to something that was working, but it added a lot because if Ministry Undertaker just looked like 1998 Undertaker, he would just feel like a main event heel. The beard, the symbol, the hair tied, and the pale look was a wonderful change. And if I had to include two looks, that is one of them. And the other one has to be his 2007 look.
That man, he was in the best shape ever.
Physically in shape. This is the Undertaker to me, the best pure striker the WWE has used to say. He didn't even need to change his attire. All he did was work out harder and shred himself to get what is his peak conditioning. Even then, I have to give Ministry Undertaker the best look.
The mid
As I said
2000s
earlier,
was like his
there's a reason why
prime.
the WWE games feature
Prime,
Ministry
like
Undertaker so often. It's because his look is very
physical
distinctive and
conditioning,
different and very in line with
physique-wise.
the scariness of the Undertaker.
He was a lot
Now,
faster
I've
during
considered
that
this
time.
video
He
for
was like
months,
in his
and
mid
I have to say it,
to late
it's very
30s,
hard to give heel
early
Undertaker an
40s.
edge over face Undertaker. But if I had to try hard to present him in a way to convince you, it would go something like this.
Yeah.
With the Undertaker, he was never presented for a long time as a heel. And while his face qualities shine a lot and it's easier for fans to cheer for him, especially if he's up against a great heel like Randy Orton and Edge, but we also didn't see the full extent of a villainous Undertaker. People don't boo Undertaker, they will always cheer him out of respect. However, he has proven to be a great heel. Ministry era, he was a wonderful foil to Stone Cold Steve Austin, especially during the beginning of the Ministry when he was constantly on Austin and tried embalming him and burying him alive. It made for a satisfying and rewarding watch when Austin overcame him during that buried alive match. And even during that match, Stone Cold suffered a lot. He was dealing with a demon from hell, and it required help from another demon from hell to win. And in many ways, The Undertaker suits the #1 villain role all too well. He was dangerous throughout his entire career, but never as unpredictable and unusual as 1999. 1999 only offered a small sample of Undertaker being a scary villain. The demonic powers bestowed upon him also make every match an obstacle for the face, which in turn creates a compelling dynamic. The face has to overcome him, and while it was never rode out to its full potential, there's another world where a great babyface is made by beating The Undertaker. And with regards to Biker Taker, he was a wonderful bully here. Used his height for intimidation reasons, was complaining all the time without sounding whiny, and as a wrestler he sold way more, made the offense of The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and even Ric Flair, who was like 53 at this point, look explosive. Best of all were his promos. But even then, it's hard to show for heel Undertaker. He had one of his best looks in the Ministry. His best promos to me were during Big Evil, but other than that, just the entrance at WrestleMania 20 washes almost everything that he did as a heel. Almost. The Undertaker is beloved. His character works in both ways, but within the construct of wrestling, he should be a face because he doesn't back off from fights, actually says what he's gonna do, and you can make a heel version of that, but when it comes to crowd reaction, he's cool, he wins a lot, they're not booing that. He showed up as a Ministry version, fans cheer. He's the Big Evil, fans cheer. You need an insane babyface like 1999 Stone Cold or 1999 Rock to overcome the crowd reaction he gets. And for that, you can't really argue for heel Undertaker because he was never fulfilled to its full potential. All the memorable moments are with the Undertaker as a face. So yeah. Alright, what do you guys think? Heel or face Undertaker? Please comment down below. And that's for this video. Make sure you hit the choke slam on the like button or perhaps a tombstone.
I like
babyface
Undertaker.
I'm out.
Alright, y'all, great video, man. Let me know down below in the comments of what y'all thought of my reaction to this video. Like, comment, subscribe. But till next time, I'm out. Peace.